Imagine knowing exactly how you're going to die. Not because a doctor told you, because you've watched it happen before. Your father, your grandmother, your uncle. Generation after generation, there are families living with that reality right now. They carry a disease called fatal familial insomnia. It doesn't cause difficulty sleeping, it takes sleep away completely. First, people sleep less, then not at all. Hallucinations begin, the body loses control, and eventually the patient dies. No cure, no treatment, no reversal. And as horrifying as that sounds, it isn't the most disturbing part. The most disturbing part is this. The thing causing this disease shouldn't exist. It isn't a virus. It isn't bacteria. According to everything scientists once believed about infectious disease, it should be impossible. The culprit is a protein. Just a protein. No DNA, no RNA, no genetic blueprint. Nothing that should be capable of destroying a human brain. And yet it can. How can something that isn't alive kill you? To answer that, we need to travel to one of the most remote medical investigations ever conducted. The year was 1957. Deep in the highlands of Papua New Guinea, researchers encountered a disease they had no words for. The local people called it Kuru. Victims developed tremors, lost coordination, lost the ability to walk, and eventually died. There was one clue nobody could explain. Women and children were dying far more often than men. When the answer finally arrived, it sounded almost unbelievable. The four people practiced ritual mortuary cannibalism. Women and children consumed the brain. The brain contained the highest concentration of the infectious agent. When the practice stopped, Kuru disappeared. But nobody knew what the agent actually was. For decades, biology operated under a simple rule. Every infectious disease needed genetic material, a blueprint for replication, always, without exception. Then in 1982, Stanley Prion proposed something so radical that many scientists openly attacked him. What if there was no blueprint? What if the disease was caused by a protein folded the wrong way? Many called the idea absurd, others called it impossible. But year after year, the evidence kept pointing in the same direction. In 1997, Stanley Prion received the Nobel Prize. Proteins alone could cause disease. When a prion encounters a healthy version of the same protein, it forces the healthy protein to change shape. 1 becomes 2, 2 become 4, 4 become 8. Not because they're reproducing, not because they're alive, because shape itself is spreading. As these proteins accumulate, neurons begin to die. Microscopic holes form throughout the brain. The brain begins to resemble a sponge. Here's the part that keeps researchers awake at night. Prions are incredibly difficult to destroy. Boil them, they survive. Blast them with radiation, they survive. Expose them to chemicals designed to kill pathogens, they survive. You can kill something that's alive. But how do you kill something that was never alive in the first place? There have been documented cases where contaminated surgical instruments transmitted prion disease despite standard sterilization. The rules are different. Then came the event that introduced prions to the world, mad cow disease. It spread through cattle in the UK and eventually crossed into humans. More than 170 people died. Many were young. The youngest victim was just 12 years old. For the first time, people understood that a misfolded protein could move through the food chain and kill humans. And then, after decades of tragedy, came something unexpected: hope. When researchers studied survivors of the Kuru epidemic, they found a rare genetic mutation. People carrying it appeared resistant to the disease. Evolution had quietly selected survivors. The people who suffered most may ultimately help reveal how to fight these diseases. And that brings us back to the families where this story began. Some choose genetic testing. Others choose not to know. Both decisions carry a burden few people can imagine. Because sometimes knowledge is terrifying, and sometimes uncertainty is worse. Prion diseases revealed something biology had hidden for centuries. The boundary between living and non-living is not where we thought it was. Right now, inside your brain are normal versions of these proteins, folded correctly, doing exactly what they're supposed to do. The difference between healthy function and one of the most terrifying diseases known to medicine isn't a virus. It isn't bacteria. It isn't a parasite. It's a shape. Just a shape. A tiny change in the way a molecule folds. Because sometimes the most dangerous thing in the world isn't an organism. Sometimes it's a protein folded the wrong way.